All right, we're live. Woohoo!
Oh, oh, hey, Sahara cosplay. You ready to talk Game of Thrones with us?
I guess so. Okay, so welcome to episode 3 of Game of Spoilers.
Yes.
For season 8.
Season 8, season 2, because this is our season 2 of this show.
Yes, this is. Yes.
It's awful complicated.
It's
not.
No, it's
not really.
No. So today we will be talking about the long-awaited episode 3.
Hell yeah.
The Battle of Winterfell, as I like to call it.
Or the Long Night, yes. As it's officially called, but yes. Yeah, you know.
So it's a long one, so I predict that this might be an extra long episode, potentially.
We'll have to wait and see, because as far as I see it, we are going to do things a little bit differently this time that we have done the other 2 episodes. We've done this because this episode is a bit special. It's a bit different from a lot of other episodes of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And there is not as much deciphering for each scene as we usually try to do.
That's true.
But we have a lot more questions at the end of this, segment. So the way we're going to do this is that we're going to talk about the episode act by act or scene by scene.
Yeah.
And then we are going to discuss a lot after.
And if you have any questions or comments as we go, or just anything really, you post it in the chat, and we will read it from time to time and loudly agree or disagree with you.
Hell yeah. What I can say is it's heavily emotional. And gosh, I mean...
Yes.
Okay, we're going to talk about that later. We're going to just jump right into it, and we are going to talk about the episode. It starts with, as all the other episodes, with, the intro, the normal song that we just sang a little piece of. But it changes. The intro changes from episode to episode. And so far it has, traveled with the White Walkers. And you can see the destruction of the things that has been destroyed throughout the episodes this far, which is interesting. So I suspect we're gonna see in the next episode, we're probably gonna see a lot of destruction of Winterfell, I guess. This time you can see a very battle ready Winterfell. So be sure to watch the intro, because that's important too. It tells a piece of the story. Okay. I don't know how to do this, and I'm sorry if I forget things, because,
there's a lot, as you mentioned earlier, there is a lot of cutscenes in a lot of the scenes this episode. So what I feel like this episode started with really was just like, okay, so where is everybody? Because you see Samuel Tarly walks through the courtyard. Then you switch to Tyrion, who is fetching his things, and Bran is being wheeled into the Godswood. The armies are gathered outside. Sansa and Arya are on top of the wall. And then
and you can also see all the key pieces, all key players, basically. Even though the ones that doesn't really matter that much, you see where the Stark girl is. You see Lady Mormont, shouting out, being awesome. You see the Knights of the Vale. You see, where everybody is at each time.
Even Ghost.
Even Ghost. Everyone. So they establish very early on that everyone is accounted for. This is where everyone is. And what I think they did very well is kind of capture the mood, and all of the actors just had really great facial expressions throughout.
So tense.
So what do we feel about this, the way they kind of built up this scene?
I felt it was very much like the scenes we see in Lord of the Rings.
Mm.
Before those big battle where they just stare into the darkness and just, anticipate, and you see the nerves building up.
Yeah. And I think, yeah.
As a viewer, you're just like, fuck, it's so dark, I can't see shit, fuck.
Yeah, imagine how it would be standing there, just looking into the darkness, hearing things. It would be awful. So
I think they spent 3 months filming this episode.
Yeah.
Only this episode. And they only shot at night.
That sounds horrible.
Yes, so I think that a lot of, I've seen this 40 minutes, how they make this episode thing that HBO released. And it's really awesome just to see, because they interviewed some of the actors, they interview, the set makers, the producers, stuff like that. And it's like a lot of the actors comment on that they felt like it getting to their head. It was, emotional, both like for their bodies and for their minds. So I think it was a very, very tough job to shoot.
Yeah, I totally believe that. Like, I would get depressed if I was working in the dark for 3 months.
I think you would not. I think it would be some part of a method acting challenge as well.
Very much so. No, but yeah, they did a really great job setting the mood. I also think that keeping everything so dark was a good piece of storytelling, because you fear what you can't see, but also I think it probably helped save up on special effects costs.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to put a huge army in this dark spot. Just assume that all of this dark spot is army.
They actually explained it in the episode that I referred to, why they did it, and they divided this episode into different acts. Like, they have the scare, like the first act is basically, it's more scary when you don't see the monsters. Yes. That's usually how you do it in horror films. Absolutely. And they used a lot of horror film techniques to set the mood and to make this episode, just to make this battle different from all the other Game of Thrones battles we've seen so far. And Sarah Cosplay say they used Lord of the Rings battle scenes as inspiration and as a way to study the best way to write and set up a battle scene. Yes, and this is true. They used the Battle of Helm's Deep as a big inspiration, because that is the longest ongoing battle scene ever made in a movie, I think. So they had like this small job of, make this episode interesting, because it's basically 1 hour and 20 minutes of battle. So they had to make it interesting, because it gets boring when the only thing you see is men running in and women running in and hack each other down. Yeah. So they had to do it in a certain way.
I mean, but as you mentioned, it's just all of these cutscenes takes a lot of time to get through, and the next thing that I think that is meaningful that happens is when you see Davos climbing the wall, and who arrives.
Yes, it's a lone rider. Who did you guys think it was? I was like, Melisandre!
I was too, like, immediately. Melisandre, yes, we called it. She came back. Yeah.
Yes. What did you guys feel like it? Like, I was like, okay, she has to do something awesome now. But at the same time, she is forbade to get back to Winterfell.
Yeah.
Forbidden, even. So what did you guys think of Melisandre's return?
I think that my thought was that she was actually going to make up for her mistake.
Yeah.
Because she has done a lot of huge blundering mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think, same. I think it's very interesting when you see Davos just looking at her, because it was very clear that, like, he was contemplating something.
Yeah, he was visibly tense, and I think, like, what the fuck is she doing here? Kind of that feeling.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he realized that she was probably back for a reason. Like, she knows the stakes, he knows the stakes.
Yeah. What did we think about what Melisandre did? Her magic to light up all the weapons of the Dothraki.
I think it helped the army kind of relieve some tension and give them some like, yes, we're gonna do this, onwards to victory sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got chills.
Yeah, it was good.
And also, like, the way they have, planted all the different characters around Winterfell. Like, you have Dany and Jon watching Winterfell from one side, and then you have Arya and Sansa from the complete other side. And I think they did a very smart, like, move by panning the cameras back and forth, so you could see both the armies from, like, all the different angles. And it kind of made it much more grand and beautiful and awesome. So I think they did like a lot of cool things, just movie making wise. I don't know. Just technically, it was very pleasing.
It was beautiful to watch. Hedasatai says that I was screaming Melisandre and jumping on the sofa.
Basically, yes. Same. But what do we think of like Melisandre and Davos's meet when they actually come to meet? Because Davos was like leaving his post just to meet with her. What do we think that he actually wanted to execute her there and then?
I guess he was contemplating it.
Yeah.
I think at least he needed that confrontation. He needed to like face her then and there. So I don't think he really thought that much about what he was doing. But no. She had a very good way of disarming him and like, you don't have to worry about it. Like, I know I'm dead. It's fine. We're cool.
Yeah. I think if she just went straight into the castle, not putting the Dothraki weapons on fire first, he might have done something. Yeah. But since he just saw what she did and kind of, yeah, you're kind of useful, so my personal feelings towards you, I have to set them aside.
Yeah. They need all the help they can get.
Oh, hell yeah. But, I mean, the stare between Arya and Melisandre.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you knew something was going down, because it was like...
I was so scared of Arya, because last episode of this, we talked about, Arya's gonna survive Winterfell, because Melisandre said that they're gonna meet again, so she has to survive, and I was like, no, why did Jinx it? No! I got so scared.
Yeah, I was worried, but I figured, okay, so is Arya gonna kill Melisandre, or what's going on here?
Yeah, because she now knows that Melisandre has had something to do with her boy, and she wants her means for her own. I was like, no, bitch, no.
But we're gonna talk more about that later. But that was a look.
Oh yeah, that was a look. And then they are interrupted by the Dothraki screams.
Yeah,
because they attack. They run in with Jorah as their leader. Okay, leader. What do we think? What are we left with? What do we think?
Oh yeah, I was a little bit confused. Like, okay, so why are they attacking now? Did something happen? What was their cue? Like, what was their reason to just ride out? Were they restless, or had they agreed upon it? I was like, I don't understand, but okay, I'm here for it. Like, yay! And I really liked the effect of seeing all of those burning swords, like, just crashing with the other army and creating like this. It almost looked like the edges of a map, where the light hit the walkers.
Yeah.
And then just slowly dying out. It was like, oh shit, you's in trouble now.
Yeah. But as Herestai says, I was thinking that's probably stupid, but very Dothraki, rest in peace. Mm-hmm. I agree, because I think it's part of the Dothraki tactic. They're blood riders. They are supposed to go straight in. Yeah. And it's something you see during this fight, is that all of the different fighters has their own very, very typical style of fighting. Like, it's very clear that there's different troops come together who doesn't have the same tactics at all, fighting together. So I just think that this is the way the Dothraki does things. And if you say no to a Dothraki, they don't fucking care. They're gonna flash you down for saying no to them, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. So you couldn't really have stopped them. This was the only way to use them to their strength. And at least it was also strategically a good way to figure out where the enemy is at and how many they are and how close they are. So
what are we actually dealing with? Because there's not a lot of people in that castle who's actually seen the whites.
Yeah, that's true.
So I wasn't so mad about it, but my first initial thought was, oh fuck, now they're gonna have Dothraki White Walkers. Shit.
Yeah. That was something I was thinking about through the entire episode. Like, okay, so when is the Night King reanimating all of these dead sons of bitches?
Anyway.
Yeah.
Any more comments about the Dothraki?
Not really. I mean, most of them are dead now, so as Teresa said, R.I.P.
Yes. Hi, Vanilla Snowflake cosplay.
Hi.
We're talking Game of spoilers. Bring all the spoilers. Okay, cool.
Sahara says, haha, same. Oh no, not dead Dothraki army.
Yes, they would have been, that would have been like Dothraki, White Walker, Blood Riders. That's scary.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Anyway, so this is, what was we left with? Like, I just think that the way they did the lights and that they just, boom, dark, was very awesome. But honestly, I was like, Danny, John, come on, go in, do something, someone.
Yeah.
But I think everyone was just so shooketh of what happened that nobody really, or maybe, you know, it's that moment when you realize you're fucked. It's like time stands still in your head. And I think maybe that is what they tried to make you feel like. Just this moment of, you know, you're fucked.
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of takes us on to, like, the next cutscene is basically Daenerys saying, like, oh my god, I have to go help them. I'm not going to follow the plan. And John trying to stop her, saying that the Night King is coming, and she's like, the dead are already here. I have to protect my people.
Is it just me, or does Dany's voice sound different? She had a much more deeper voice than usual. She was just like, they're already here. I was like, ugh.
Maybe she had her battle voice on. I don't know.
No, but I've seen it, like, she does the same thing preview of the next episode as well. She has a different kind of voice. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Then the battle starts. Everyone just runs in, and there's a lot of, you know, cutscenes, and it just clashes. So what did we think when the armies of the dead actually attacked?
I think one of the things that kind of caught my attention was the little cutscenes where you could see Grey Worm just getting ready to fight, putting on his helmet. You could hear his breathing. Like, I think you finally found the one thing that Grey Worm is scared of. Because his problem has always been, like, he's not afraid of anything. But this, I think, actually truly scared him.
I think it's because of now he has a future planned. He's now scared of dying because of Melisandre. He wasn't scared of dying before.
No, he has something to lose now.
Yes. So I think it's more that he's scared of, and not the dead in on itself.
No, that's true. I agree with you on that one.
But I also think, like, all the cutscenes, like, the sound effects and the music, everything was so beautiful. And we also have, like, this constant fear of our favorite characters dying, because, let's face it, we love all the characters. We love all the main characters in Game of Thrones, but not all of them are worth much, if that makes sense. You know, they are expendable. Like Brienne, I love that character.
Yes.
I would hate to see her dead, but she's expendable. Jaime is expendable. Everyone is expendable. So you would never know if they're safe or not. And they are in the middle of everything. And they get the dead heads on first. Like, yeah. I was just terrified.
I like that moment when Brienne got swarmed just like straight off the bat, and she's screaming, and I was like, no, don't die, please. And then Jaime saves her, and I was like, oh, thank God he was there.
Yes, agreed. VS cosplay. Now I'm all like really prepared for everyone to die. Same. It is tight. The music was everything, and I love how they stopped and focused on all the characters, showing how they all were scared in some way or another. Agreed. Like the facial expressions was everything in the music. Oh, so good.
Yeah. I have several notes from watching the episode where I just like, the music does this, the music does that.
I know.
It was so good. Like, what was his name? Ramin Djawadi or something. Like, good job.
Good job. Then we have like Daenerys on the dragon swooping in and starting firing, and Jon looking for the Night King and the weather magic. What do you think of like these things that happened?
Well, I mean, both Jon and Dany got a little bit too overconfident on the dragons and basically flew too near the Night King's generals, who were located near the edge of the forest. And so they got caught up in the blizzard. Which I think was a smart move from the Night King, seeing as it would obscure their sight and make it hard to communicate and see each other and just be effective in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. I think they would have done that anyway.
Yeah, probably.
I think really that Jon and Dany were too ambitious, they didn't think things through. They did not follow the tactics or plans that the others have made, and I really thought that they were just reckless and stupid, really.
Yeah.
Well, Jon tried to follow the plan. Daenerys didn't.
No, she never does. She does not know how to follow a plan because she always thinks that she knows better than everyone.
Yeah.
That's just
their plan was
is.
to just... So their plan was basically just to sit and hang and wait for the Night King and then swoop in and get him when he landed by the Godswood, thank you. Yeah. So after this, you have Arya commanding Sansa to go to the crypts. Yes. At some point, I don't remember if we talked about it. Yeah, we did. Jaime saved Brienne. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of cutscenes between the Godswood where Bran is with Theon. And we see some dragon trouble in the blizzard and blah, blah, blah. We see battle. Everyone gets smashed, basically. Everyone is dying, it seems. And it just seems horrible. And then we have Sam and our first death of this episode, which was Ed from the Night's Watch. What do we think?
I think that it was kind of him fulfilling his purpose, really. I mean, I was sad to see him go, but he did like a very heroic act and helped his friend up, and ultimately that made him vulnerable to being attacked in the back. So it was foreseeable that he would die.
Yeah.
And all because of Sam, who froze, who was originally ordered to be down in the crypt because he's not a fighter, but he wanted to fight.
Yeah. And he's going to live with PTSD forever.
Yes, maybe.
No, I mean, that's the problem with Sam. Like, he wants to be brave, and he is brave in a lot of ways. And, I mean, he does his best, and he does kill quite a few of them. It's just that he becomes a liability because he's not as battle-hardened or as aware of his surroundings as some of the other characters are.
Yeah.
So yeah, poor Ed. He had come so far from being just a grump that no one cared about to being the Knight Commander of,
Yeah.
Night's Watch, yeah.
Yeah, at the same time, I think that I feel more for Sam because he has to, live with the fact that he caused his friend to die, or that's what it will feel like because he saw it, because he was a cause.
Yeah. And this is not the first time Sam's gonna be in trouble during this episode.
No, it's not.
But this time somebody actually saved him.
Yeah. And right before this happened, Jorah gets knocked off his horse, so he has to fight on foot from now on, and Brienne goes all ferocious.
Oh yeah, all of them are just, rage! Oh, like they're fighting for their lives. Yeah. It's so, like, they fight for their lives.
Desperate is the only word that comes to mind.
Yeah. I think it's like, just being overcome with adrenaline and the feeling of, shit, we're going to lose. I'm going to give it my all.
Yeah.
And they did very well with sound effects, with makeup, and with special effects, music. Like, everything was so good during this episode to make you feel, as a viewer, everything. Yeah. At least that's how it felt for me.
So the next thing that happens is that we see Sansa entering the crypt.
Yes. We're not going to talk a lot about the crypt. We're not going to take the whole crypt thing right now, but we're just going to talk about a little bit of it. Because it's a lot of cutscenes, so we want to just make things short and make it as cohesive as possible. But we basically just see Sansa entering the crypt, and she talks to Tyrion about, like, she's basically giving smack to Daenerys, and Melisandre is like,
Well, it's not so much smacks as, in the beginning when she comes in, she's completely quiet. She's like, she doesn't say a word, she just looks tense, and that says more than any words could ever say. Like, oh, we are so fucked. That's basically what the message is. Like, she doesn't even know what to say at this point because she's horrified.
Yes.
And then a little bit later, she and Tyrion talks together, and she, when he's restless and he wants to go out and, like, I should be there, maybe I'll see something that no one else sees, and she's like, no, this is the bravest thing we can do right now. Face the truth. We are no use in that fight. We have to stay here. And then they go on to talk about, maybe we should have stayed married. You were the best of the husbands. And he's like, wow, isn't that sad?
Yeah. And Sansa's like, that would never work. And it's like, Tyrion's like, oh yeah, really, tell me why. Is it because you're tall and I'm small? Is that it? I was like, that was what I
expected.
Thought. Yeah. And she's like, no. We're divided because of our houses. And and then Tyrion's like, because of the Dragon Queen. If she wasn't here, And Melisandre's like, well, because of the Dragon Queen. If the Dragon Queen wasn't here, everyone would be dead.
So there.
But
I can understand. It would be hard to be married to the hand of the Queen and expect him to be loyal to you when he sworn an oath to be loyal to the Dragon Queen.
Yeah. But I think maybe that could be a foreshadowing. Like, I kind of ship them a little bit. I don't know.
I mean, among all of the pairings Sansa has had throughout this show so far, Tyrion has been the best of them. Like Teresa says, you were the best of them. Cry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was such a good, I just love that joke.
It was
dark.
So sweet.
Yes.
And as you say, kind of dark.
Yeah, it was really nice. It's a lot of cutscenes from this point out. There's dragons flying in the clouds, having a hard time seeing. Back in the battle, they pulled back. Lady Mormont is in charge of the door, apparently, with her men. They let people in. We see some Unsullied action, which is really cool to see how organized they are.
Yeah, they're keeping the retreating army safe, so they can't be jumped from behind, basically, by the attacking Nightwalkers.
Yes, and there's a lot of like nice scenes here, nice music, everything that we've been talking about. Still awesome.
Yeah.
It's just chaos, retreating, and dragons, basically.
Yeah, Jon and Dany are still in the blizzard. Bran is still waiting in the Godswood, and things are tense.
The only thing that kind of happens that is very like essential for the rest of the episode is that Arya shoots an arrow straight behind, like next to the Hound, and saves the Hound's life. And there's a little moment there,
which was nice.
And then Davos gives the sign, or Grey Worm kind of takes down the trench things, and Davos gives the sign to Daenerys to light the trench, but since Daenerys is caught in a blizzard, she can't see Davos's light the trench sign.
Time for plan B.
Which they didn't really have.
No.
Because it didn't work. They tried to light it with arrows, didn't work. So what do we think of Melisandre's big moment?
I think she was genuinely scared.
Yeah, you could tell that she was scared, especially when things didn't happen at, instantaneously.
Yeah.
And she's like, come on, God, come on, God, come on, God.
Yeah.
Give your girl some slack.
It's the first time Melisandre has actually looked scared, because before this, she's always just been this confident religious fanatic following the prophecy, and she's been questioning herself because she have done something like wrong readings in the past with Stannis, with burnings of the King's Blood, and all this stuff that she has done. She it was a really nice thing when you just saw in her eyes like the White Walker that just jumped at her, and then whoosh, flames.
Yeah. Heresitai says that it was nice to see Melisandre show some doubt.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the first time, really. She had her doubts when she, burned the girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She did that with Stannis. After Stannis, she wasn't really sure that her seeings was right. So yeah. Anyway, I think that was a smart plan until later when it didn't work, but we're going to talk about that later. Then we're back at the crypt, when Tyrion wants to be out there, and they have the marriage talk, and then the Melisandre comment. Yeah, we've already done that. Good.
Yeah.
Then we're back at the Godswood, where Theon apologized. What do we think of this scene with Theon and Bran talking?
I mean, I feel like this was this kind of gave me the foreshadowing that Theon wasn't going to survive. That's kind of what it told me. Like, this is Theon squaring away his guilt, apologizing for what he did, so that he can die with no regrets on his mind.
We were pretty sure last episode that Theon would die too.
Yeah,
so
we were.
It just confirmed our mistanka.
Yes, suspicions.
Yes.
Indeed, and I really was like, oh, are we gonna see some Bran action now? Ooh, cool. Oh, he's varging into crows. Okay.
Cool. Hashtag disappointed.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna hack his eyes out or something? What are you gonna do? And like, just
I still think that we're gonna get some answers to this, because Bran's been away like the whole episode. We have no idea what Bran has been doing, other than spying on the Night King. But I think he has been doing something more, because it has to be something more. Well, but I don't know what.
Maybe he didn't need to do anything more, because he knew what needed to happen, and he needed to be the decoy. And that's it.
Yeah.
Decoy?
I agree.
For what? I don't know.
Because he knew what Arya was going to do, so he had to
draw the Night King out so that she could get to him.
because the Night King knows what Bran is doing. So Bran had to play out in the open.
I don't know.
So I think that's basically it. That Bran didn't have to do anything special because he knew someone else was going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's my theory.
Same.
Yeah, I just thought he was used. Like sitting there in his chair with white eyes, flying around as crows.
He can't really do that much. Poor thing.
I'm thinking that we're gonna get some explaining later.
Yeah.
We have 3 episodes left. We're only halfway through the last season, so I think we will get some explaining. If not, I'm gonna be disappointed. But I'm not disappointed just yet.
Yeah.
I
will say though that I did really like Bran's reply to Theon. Everything you did brought you where you needed to be, to where you belong, brought you home, you know.
But that is...
It was nice.
It is. It's actually one of my life philosophy. Like, every shit thing that happens in your life is there to make you learn and make you grow as a person. And if it didn't happen, then you might not have been where you are right now. So it's like, I'm like, yeah, animal bros.
BS Cosplay says, ooh, it's the elephant. He went Rambo and made them run away from Cersei. That's what Brandon's doing.
Of course. Yeah.
We gotcha.
But now we see like the first shot of the Night King. I have nothing really to talk about except that we see the crows and he's like stretching out for something. And
yeah, I think that's when he commands the army to start making the bridge of bodies across the fire trench. Like, that's basically what that does.
Agreed. And it's kind of the same thing that happened, in season 7 when the Death Crew was stuck on that little island on the frozen lake.
Yeah.
And the dead is just standing like around waiting until the Hound tosses a rock and they start walking over, because that's also just one by one by one by one, and then everyone starts doing it.
Yeah.
So it was like they did the same thing there.
Yeah. Let's see. Heresetai says, everything about Theon in this episode made me super emo. I knew he was going to die, but
I know, but it was so beautiful. Everything, like, he became himself again. Yeah. It was so nice.
I never thought I would start caring for Theon again. Like, after he murdered Bran's friends and took over Winterfell and everything, but, like, they made me care for Theon again.
They did that. Okay. Now, this is, now we're gonna move into real panic mode, fight mode, battles. Shit, I don't know. They then start walking into the trench, and they cut with scenes, so we'll stick to one before we, like, move on, and we'll talk about the dragon fight as its own thing, because they kind of, switch between a lot of things.
Yeah.
So... I just have to, like, see my notes here. Okay. So we have basically everyone's just panicked. Everyone is just on the walls. Is there anything during this fight that we want to comment on?
I have a few notes. Just like, as you said, people are going into panic mode. The dead are just climbing on top of each other to reach the top of the wall. The archers are replaced with fighters, and Jaime and Brienne are kicking ass, fighting like side by side. There was this one really short clip where you just see them like information fighting together, like almost perfectly synchronized. It was beautiful.
And also, Brienne saves Jaime before, because they are standing on their own sides, and then Jaime gets in trouble, and Brienne just rushes to him, and that's when they kind of start this awesome double trouble team fight.
Yeah, it was just really nice to watch the two of them like saving each other's lives over and over. And then we see that Sam is nearly killed again, but he is saved by Jorah this time, I think. And then it goes down into the courtyard where you see Beric Dondarrion fighting with his flaming sword, and he's trying to like wake Sandor Clegane up from his panic attack, and like, Clegane, wake up, you know.
Doesn't work.
And then they kind of cut to Arya on top of the wall where she's kicking ass with her new weapon. She's
so awesome, and Davos is just watching her like,
what?
It's so cool. It's so cool to see Arya being awesome. It's just fun to see. I don't know. I just like it when you actually see actors doing awesome stuff.
She's so good.
Yeah, and the thing with Arya or Maisie Williams is that she is doing most of her own stunts.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Which is very cool. She's very cool.
And
she's also, because I'm just going to mention one thing.
Yes.
Maisie Williams, she's actually right-handed, but Arya is left-handed. So Maisie has learned herself from season 1 to fight with her left hand. So now she is actually ambidextrous. Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah.
That's
which
very
is
cool.
very awesome. It is.
Let's see. Then Arya eventually gets a bit overwhelmed, so she has to run away. She hits her head on the way down. And then we cut to the fucking giant who enters the courtyard.
Yes. We're gonna first, because there's one more that happens with Arya and the Hound. And it's that the Hound is woken up by his angstiness by, you know, seeing that Arya is in trouble. And I was like, okay, this is the moment of where we know Arya is going to be fine, because the Hound is going to do everything to save her.
Yes, because he says something like, we're fighting death. You can't fight death. And then Beric looks at Arya and says, tell her that. And then the Hound sees her like scrabbling for her life. And he's like, oh, fuck. I gotta help her.
Then, Lyanna moment. Yes. This is the moment that really broke me during this episode. Like, I didn't really cry with Ed. Like, I cried a little throughout. Like, not really cry, but I was sitting like this. Like, being scared, the whole thing. Yeah. But this is where I broke the first time. You see the fucking giant. Sorry for the swearing, but you see the giant coming in there. And she is just like being a little bear, not afraid of anything. Roar! She just get, you know, whooshed to the side.
Yeah.
What do we think?
Oh my god, this scene is so... Like, Lyanna is awesome. Or was awesome, I should say. Like, we've always said that she was kick-ass, and she got to prove just how kick-ass the Mormont family is.
Yeah.
Because eventually, you know, we'll just talk about the giant, the whole thing with the giant now. Like, it's on a rampage. And when she finally just, you know, gets her act together and charges it with her little weapon and gets picked up, and you're like, oh no, oh no, oh no, she's gonna be squished, he's gonna eat her head or something. And she drives the blade through his eye and kills that fucking giant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, chills. It was so
We're just
good.
gonna stop there, because Hidestatai is like, shh, nothing happened to Lyanna. She kicked the giant's ass and then survived. Nobody can tell me different. Sure. We all know what happened.
Yeah.
Wink.
There are lots of tears for Lyanna in the chat.
Yeah.
And just
Becca
like, says, Arya is on fire.
Yes. But I cried. Like, this is the first point of the episode I actually cried.
Yeah.
And I was shouting. I'm so happy I was home alone, because my boyfriend don't watch Game of Thrones. So I was just sitting here with my headset watching my screen. All the lights were off. This curtain was down, and I was like, no. Like that throughout the whole thing.
It was so good.
Yes. But I think they did her justice. Like, this death felt wholesome. It felt, Okay, now we have, like, what we call Act 2.
Mm-hmm.
And we have Arya sneaking around, the sneaky sneak moment. What do we think of this sneaky scene?
I think it was very suspenseful, very exciting, and like, I sat with my heart up in my throat and like, oh, shit.
It was so quiet. Like, there were almost no sounds in that entire library scene.
Yeah, and it made it so much more effective.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was so nervous for Arya, and when her blood started to hit the floor when she was hiding under the table, and And like when the walker like bent down and looked underneath and she was gone, I was like, oh my god, yes.
Yeah. I felt like it was a scene from any sneaking video game. It felt like a video game to me.
Yeah. Hedesitai says Arya sneaking around was like a video game, and it was
Yeah.
perfect and made me so nervous. It was so
Same.
good.
But it also shows us how quiet Arya is. The loudest thing about Arya is her blood dripping on the floor. If that is the loudest thing about you, geez, you are supernatural. Yes.
So
and
that was a bit of foreshadowing for later, I think.
It was. And I'm kind of annoyed at myself that I didn't catch up on it. But still, I love that I didn't catch up on it because I love it when I get surprised.
Yeah. On the first watch, I didn't catch it. But on the second one, where I was taking notes and studying things, I was like, oh shit. I see what you did there, Game of Thrones.
Yes. After this, Arya is safe until she has to run for her life. So what do you think of the change, like the change of mood and when she meets up with...
I think they did that on purpose to stress us out even more because it's like, library, tense, 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 safe. No! Not safe. So...
Yeah, and they do the kind of this a cutscene here before she meets up with Beric and the Hound, because they do a cutscene with the crypts just to see that, just to make like everyone aware that okay, the dead are inside, they are taking over, because Sansa and the other people hear somebody who's scared who wants to come into the crypt, and also that scene makes us aware that okay, it's locked from the inside. There's no possible way of getting in from the outside unless somebody either cuts down the door or lets you in, which is also a nice thing to settle.
And no one was stupid enough to try to let other people in. Thank you for that.
You can also see but you can also see like Sansa almost losing her
composure.
Yes, because she is scared. You can see that she's not this cold bitch that doesn't care, but she just knows that she needs to keep the people down there safe.
Yeah.
But it's like you could see in your eyes like she's contemplating whether or not she is gonna go and actually let them in or not. Then, as VS Cosplay says, it's silent as the grave. But then Beric finds Arya. Beric and the Hound finds Arya because she
falls through a door.
Yeah. What do we think of this scene, though? Like the running through the halls before they are safe.
Well, I mean, I thought it was really well done with the fact that they build up suspense again with Beric and Clegane just quietly, slowly walking through the halls, trying to find out where the noise is coming from, and then they look around a corner, and then bam, the door is popped off its hinges, and Arya screaming. And Beric throws his sword. Like, it was really well done. Like, once again, just building that suspense.
At the moment Beric threw his sword, I kind of knew, okay, he's gonna die.
Yeah.
Because he separated himself from his magic weapon, which is not... But still heroic and good that he did.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Hound grabs Arya and carries her away, and she resists. Like, she picks up weapons. She's like, no, I'm going back there to save him. And he's like, no, come on, we're going.
But that's like what happened, I guess, in the earlier seasons as well, the Hound and Arya, because that's what he did when Arya wanted to run into the Red Wedding.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, everyone's dead. We need to get away. Do you want to die? So he is like her guardian in some way.
And Arya being true to herself, she's never the damsel in distress. Even when people are around to save her life, she's like, no, I'm gonna fight. You can't stop me.
No. And then Beric gets attacked, get that fatal wound. They all get... Like, I was surprised that Beric actually got himself into the room where they barricaded themselves.
I thought he was dead in the hallway for sure, but then so it was nice. At least he got to die in relative silence and peace.
With a red priest.
I think it was nice that that Arya was the last one he saw before he died.
So that was the third death of the episode.
Yes. A lot more, but the third death that matters.
Yeah, the third death of a main character or semi-main character, supporting cast.
Yes.
Companion.
What did we think when we realized that Melisandre? I was like, oh shit, what's gonna happen now? Is he gonna race Barrack or I didn't really think much at all. I was just like, excitement!
What's happening?
Something's gonna happen. Yeah.
Pretty much. And then they have this conversation that, like, we've met before. You said we would meet again. You said I would close a lot of eyes. Yes, brown eyes, green eyes, blue eyes.
The thing with this, then I realized, oh my god, she means those kinds of blue eyes. And you see in Melisandre that this is when Melisandre realizes what that, meant when she said it. But in the episode, she says it. She says, brown eyes first. Brown eyes can be Walder Frey. I don't remember Littlefinger's eyes. No. But brown eyes is at least Walder Frey. Blue eyes, and then green eyes at last. As the last thing Melisandre says when she says that is green eyes. And Cersei, she has green eyes, at least in the books.
Could be that Cersei is the last one to fall for Arya's blade.
Who knows?
Yeah,
but that's at least an interesting prophecy, because she says brown eyes, blue eyes, green eyes, in that order.
In the first one, but in this episode, blue eyes is the last thing she says. So
yes.
But yeah, so that's we'll see. That could be an interesting thing. We're gonna have to keep our eyes out for that later. See if it happens. Littlefingers are blue-gray, says it as a tie.
Okay.
So his don't count.
Then the brown ones are Walder Frey.
At least. She's
anyway,
a lot of folks.
She has, but if that kind of the eyes matter, you have to watch out for those green ones.
We'll see.
Okay. And then when Melisandre says, "What do we say to the god of death?" I was like, "Not today, Satan!" RuPaul's Drag Race, and then Arya actually says, "Not today." I was like, ah!
No, but I mean that I saw, like, as soon as Melisandre said, "What do we say to the god of death?" I was like, "Yes, throwback to season fucking 1."
Yes. It was very cool. Like, we have been waiting for a Easter egg from I don't remember his name, but we have known all the time that he is going to be important.
Yes, the sword master. What was his name again? I can't remember. Just Becca says, "Not today."
Yes.
So good.
It was like the first time in this episode I actually felt like piece of hope.
Syrio Farrell.
Yes, there you go.
Yes. So that
I
was
got chills.
Yeah, it was so good. I was like, yes. And then Arya just runs off on her solo mission, and you're like, oh, something's gonna happen.
Then we have a lot more cutscenes. I'm just gonna go slowly into this one because we have the Godswood. One with Theon and the Ironborns defending Bran, because now the dead has gotten into the Godswood and they're just firing fire arrows and killing them and being awesome. Bran is still doing whatever Bran is doing. And then we're going to talk, because there have been a lot of cutscenes with the dragon fight with the Night King, so we're just going to talk about the whole dragon fight thing now. I hated the dragon fight scene. I thought they sucked. I was like, did you guys really spend this much money on doing this? It doesn't mean anything. I don't care about dragon fights. That was my feeling, at least. What do you guys think?
I mean, they were important because we needed to get rid of the undead dragon, and we needed to unhorse the Night King. So it was necessary to have a dragon fight, and I was like, I think a lot of people had a lot of high hopes to the dragon fights, but personally I was like, get it over with already.
Same. I
love dragons. Don't get me wrong, I've loved dragons all my life, but it was just not what I was waiting for, because I knew that Dany and Jon were not the ones that were going to get the Night King. I just had a feeling like this is not your thing.
Same. What about you, Tonya? Did you like the dragon fight?
I thought it was stupid and reckless.
Yeah.
I said so before. I thought it was stupid and reckless. I was like, the whole time I was like, they're gonna lose their dragons. They're gonna lose the dragons. They're gonna lose the fucking dragons. Mm-hmm. Good job.
Yeah.
Fucking idiots.
You had 3. Now you have 1.
You have 2, but
no, I think one of them.
No. It didn't.
Okay.
It just crashes. It just crashes. You can see them both flying and all well. The preview of the next episode,
okay,
so no
good.
problem. But like I just felt like the first in the first episode when Dany and Jon just flies on the dragon. I mean, it was a nice scene, but I was like, didn't really give me much. I didn't enjoy the dragon scenes that much, just because I know that they're expensive. I know it's CGI. I know, like, it just felt like something that they wanted to put in there just because it's cool. And I was like, no, it's not really.
Oh no, I thought it was very cool. I really liked the effects and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it was well done. It looked good. Yeah. It was just, I was more interested in the people on the ground.
Yeah, I agree. That's the thing. It looked cool, but I just felt like they only put it in there to make it seem like a cool scene.
You were saying something, Tonya. I interrupted you.
Yes, I was trying to collect my train of thought. I was thinking that I really liked the dragon scenes and stuff. They were very beautifully made, and the thing I did not like about the dragon scenes is that is basically just how, you know, Dany and Jon were, you know, using them. Really, they could have been more useful to go down and help those on the ground rather than, you know, trying to get the Night King, because that is what bugged me the most, their tactics with using the dragons to find the Night King. Really.
Yeah, I thought they tried just to hide so they could, you know, make the when they like I thought they tried to just hide the dragons so the White Walkers wouldn't know necessarily where they were, as a point of surprise if and when the Night King was supposed to, you know, show himself. That's what I thought, at least.
I mean, that felt like the original plan was for them to sit and wait for the Night King to appear. Instead, they did something different.
Yes.
And I mean, like, okay, so they get mostly rid of the undead dragon. It's not at least of use to the Night King anymore. He gets thrown off, and then Dany tries to burn the Night King to death, and he's like, bitch, please.
Well, before that, Jon falls off his dragon.
Yeah, that's true.
And Jon is like on the field. And like the moment I realized that, okay, Jon is on the field, the Night King can fall down, shit.
Yeah.
And then Daenerys is like, Dracarys, brah, and she brings forth the biggest Dracarys ever.
And it doesn't work.
And also, one more thing, because when the dragon fight is ongoing and the dragon starts screeching and howling, there's a cutscene with Jorah, who hears the dragon in distress, and he runs for aid, because it's gonna make sense later.
Yeah, because he figures, oh my god, my queen is in trouble.
Yeah, he knows that he's been there throughout the dragons, you know, evolving, so he knows their sounds, I guess. Okay, now back to the Dracarys.
Yes. So yeah, the Night King basically looks at Dany like, you thought this was gonna work.
He smiles. Did you guys notice that he smiles?
That was a vicious like grin, like in disdain. And then
he was like, haha, you fell right into my trap now, bitch. I'm gonna take your dragon.
Yeah, and he raises the spear, and then basically Dany fucks off. And then Jon is left alone with the Night King. What did we think with him running after the Night King? I was like, oh, Jon, no. Jon, no. It's not gonna work. Jon, stop. What do we think?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I kind of thought that he would be, actually having a showdown there, but yeah,
I figured, like, I was kind of like, okay, are they having a showdown? No, that would be too easy. And then he stops and he lifts his arms, and you're like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, when he raised his arm, and I was like, oh no. You're too late. Run faster, you're too late. You're not gonna make it. Turn around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is like what we talked about in the episode like last week when we discussed what if, like, we already knew that all the women and children that doesn't fight are gonna hide off in the crypts.
Yeah.
What if they raise all the, like, we joked around about, all the Starks getting raised from the dead and what happens. Yeah. We're gonna talk about that later, but I'm just gonna mention it now.
We called it, basically.
We did.
So hard.
But yeah, he raises all the dead. And I just love the moment when you see like all the characters that we have that's been killed off already getting raised again. You see Ed, you see the Dothraki main guy.
Yeah.
I don't know his name. And you see Lyanna when she opens her eyes. I'm like,
Oh no.
Yeah, and you then see all the important, like the White Walker important dudes, the masters, the
generals.
Yeah, the
generals walking into Winterfell Castle, and we're like, oh shit. There's a lot of cutscenes between people fighting the Godswood, where Bran is still doing his thing, and Theon is fighting for his life. We see Jon fighting and being saved by Dany.
Yeah. And she's
which
like,
was
"Go."
like, I was like, Jon, you cannot seriously die now. This cannot happen. And Dany comes and saves him, and he saved Bran. And I think this is where you see that Jon is on his mission, and he's been so throughout the whole thing, but he's been, fighting and debating, like, because he has been going after Dany, he's been going, like, he has tried to follow plan, but she has not. But now he has to follow plan, because it's either her or it's Bran. Yeah. So he's like, Bran! She's like, yeah, go! And he goes, and Dany is left alone.
Yeah, stupid Dany. Taking a breather right in the middle of a fucking undead horde. Good fucking job.
Yeah. I mean, there are things happening behind you. I mean...
Yeah.
If that dragon died, it would have been her own fucking fault. Because you don't do that.
Yeah, but luckily, Drogon has survival instincts and throws off Dany and goes like, fuck you!
Yeah.
And he just shakes off everyone. I was thinking that maybe, because at this point we didn't know what happened to oh my gosh, Rhaegal yet. So for all we knew, we only had one dragon left.
Yeah.
And then this happened to Drogon. I was like, is she actually losing all her dragons? Really?
That's what I thought.
And he flew off, and I was like, okay. And then I started thinking about, Daenerys is supposed to be betrayed 3 times, and once for love, once for blah blah blah, and once for blah blah blah. It's the love one that she hasn't been betrayed of yet, as we know. And we have talked about it, Jon betraying her some way, because he is basically her love. But Drogon is basically
her favorite child.
Her favorite child, yeah. And he betrayed her. Kind of. He left her to dead.
I don't think so. I think she betrayed him, really.
That's a mutual thing.
Yeah, but it's a mutual thing. But this is because Daenerys looks upon the dragons as her children.
Yeah.
But I think that this shows that the dragons, they're not children. They're animals with survival instinct.
Yes.
They're not the same as babies. And they will do what they have to do to survive. No questions asked, and no, feelings of remorse or anything.
No, that's very true.
So I think this just shows that the dragons are, in fact, dragon.
Yeah. They're smart and they're loyal, but only to a certain point, because, if I was being stabbed to death by White Walkers, I would run away too.
Yep.
Yeah. But then Jorah comes and saves the day. What do we think?
Her trusty knight.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's what I expected would happen at one point or another, that Jorah would sacrifice himself for Dany, especially seeing as he betrayed her in the past and he has a lot to make up for.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he is probably the only person in the entire world who truly loves Dany.
Oh yeah.
So
I think so too.
Yeah, I poetic in a way.
Very. And this is also the moment where I think that Jorah's gonna die.
Yeah.
I actually thought that Dany was.
Mm-hmm.
I was like contemplating, like when Drogon flew off. I was like, Dany dies now. I wouldn't really care much about it. It would have been alright.
It would have been okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree. I mean, I would have been like, did not see that coming just yet.
No.
But I don't think I would be as upset as I would have been if, let's say, Sansa had died, for example.
Agreed. Then there's a lot of, chaotic fighting. Let's see. Hedestai says, it was fitting and expected that Jorah sacrificed. Yes.
Agreed. And also, should have had more dire wolves.
Agreed. It should have had more dire wolves.
Always.
I was hoping for some Nymeria, but maybe they're saving later.
Yeah, the thing about the dire wolf, though, it ran with the first wave into the undead. I don't think we ever saw it come back.
No, we didn't.
No.
I don't think. Ghost didn't return, but he might still be out there.
Oh, he's alive. It's confirmed. He's alive. If you have seen the preview of the next episode, you can see him standing in the background. Yeah. So he is alive.
Cool.
And well.
Another spoiler before the...
Not really.
It's in the trailer.
It's already out there.
It was funny.
Yeah. Hedestai says, I don't think Jorah would have forgiven himself if Dany died before him, if he wasn't able to save her. Agreed.
Yeah.
Sara says he would probably kill himself if she died. Yeah, I think so too.
Probably. He would have thrown himself off with, I don't know what he would have done. Gone to the wall to mend it alone. I don't know. But then there's a lot of fighting. Everyone's basically fucked. At this point, everyone is fucked.
Yeah. I mean, Jon is just wading through a literal sea of dead people or fallen bodies. Yes,
and I think throughout this sequence, we're going to divide this up too, because it is a lot of cutscenes between the different people and the people that we know. But in this whole sequence, they did a really good job with the music, because the music was just like, it was just a kind of flat bass line, sounds like a heartbeat almost. Yeah. And it was just like so tension music, I don't know. And just added and added and added.
And rhythmic, and it was just like perfect for an end game, basically.
Yes. So we see Jon walking through the court, and we follow Jon through the courtyard of Winterfell Castle into the Godswood. But on his way, he kind of walks through all of his friends. And I think one of the biggest things, because Jon, he sees like everyone being swamped, basically. He sees everyone having a hard time. He could have stopped and helped, but he doesn't. No. And the thing that happens that's crazy to me, at least, is when you see Tam lying in a pile of dead people and he screams, Jon! Jon! And Jon just moves on.
He looks over his shoulder, but he's like, no, I can't stop. I have to continue.
Yeah, I need to continue my mission.
My heart.
Yeah, he he knows that time is of the essence here. If the Night King reaches Bran and kills off Bran, there's no stopping him, and he knows that he has to reach the Godswood to, stop the Night King.
Yeah.
And throughout this whole mess, I was unsure who is alive and who is dead, because people were screaming, people were getting hit, and
they were looking
I think
fatigued.
There was one point here I actually thought Brienne died. There was one point here I actually thought that Sam died. I was just like, but it's not confirmed. La 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 la. I can't stop watching. I need to watch it.
Same.
Yeah, it was so intense, especially when you see that Jon, tries to walk through this hallway and the dead come falling through the ceiling on top of him. It's like, oh fuck, he's not gonna make it.
No.
It didn't seem like it, at least. So
it was crazy.
That whole sequence, the tour through the courtyard, was just gut wrenching to watch, really.
Now we're going to move on to just talk about Theon and the Ironborn fighting in the Godswood. We're going to stop at the point where we actually get to see the Night King, because that we're going to talk about that at the end of this. So I think it was really awesome to see Theon being the last man standing, just fighting off everyone. And when you realize that Theon is the only one left there with Bran.
Yeah. And he uses his last arrow and has to go into melee combat.
Mm-hmm. It was just beautiful.
Yeah, it was. And just that last moment between him and Bran also was very good.
Very, very, very good. We're going to talk more about that later. So
we
we're
can't really talk a lot about it until we reach the end. So
we're going to talk about Jorah and Dany, because this is the moment where Dany actually picks up a sword and has to fight for her survival as well. Originally, in the manuscript, Dany was just supposed to stand there, but Emilia, the actress, she was like, no, it wouldn't be natural for Dany to not do anything. She would try to at least help Jorah, because it's her, most loyal friend.
Yeah.
And I think that was a good choice, because it was really nice to see Dany just trying, not really knowing what she was doing, but it was so nice to see her and just hear the shouting and the facial expressions, because if there's something Emilia is really good at, it's the facial expressions.
Yeah, she does that really well. No, but I totally agree with it. Would have felt weird if Dany had just stood there. That wouldn't have been in her character.
It wouldn't be true to her character, because she has always been fighting for both her survival and her journey to her birthright, really.
Yeah. She wouldn't give up, no.
Yeah, I mean, I can see when, Drogon takes off that she has this, look in her eyes that, oh shit, what am I gonna do without my dragon?
Mm-hmm.
And then Jorah comes along and gives her hope that she might survive this after all. And then, of course, she wouldn't just stand there, seeing someone else just die for her while not doing anything. And she does the next best thing she can, even though she has no experience. She picks up the sword and tries to hit something.
Yeah. And I also think it's nice when it's not nice because it's really sad, but it's nice because it was a very nice way for Sir Jorah to actually go.
Yeah.
He gets hit again and again. He gets up, continues fighting. He doesn't give up. It's like adrenaline takes over and he's like, no, I have to protect my queen.
Hidesatai says, what I liked about Dany fighting was that she tried, but she obviously wasn't good at it.
Yeah, it's very true.
That was also true to character. She has no idea what to do with a sword.
Then we're going to move on to the crypt, because this, oh my gosh, like the Sansa Tyrion stand hiding behind.
It was so
it's like,
precious.
But I was so scared that, because Sansa and Tyrion has been talking about they're down there because they are doing the smartest thing, being down there, because they're not useless up there. No, I mean they're useless basically in the fight, so they have to just be there. And when Sansa picks up the dagger that Arya gave her earlier,
I thought she
and
was
she
gonna
looks
kill herself.
same.
Yeah.
And she looks at Tyrion, and they're, they have been talking about we're doing the only smart thing. There's nothing we can do. We just have to sit here and wait because there's nothing we can do. And I was like, no, Sansa Tyrion, no, crying again. Not that I wasn't already crying, because I was, but I started crying more.
No, that was an emotional moment. And like when he kisses her hand and like and they just get ready to move, like I was like, oh my god, what's going to happen to my babies?
Yeah, so it was really, but it was really, really nice to see them have that moment together.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy they didn't kill themselves.
Yes, me too. I was so scared she was gonna kill herself.
Yeah. Then I guess the music changed a bit, and you on, fight, and then bam! That stupid idiot dragon. I hate that idiot dragon so much. He just like falls into the courtyard and he just stumbles around, being really stupid and annoying. I just hate that blue dragon so much. Wait.
Well,
Like, I just know. If you read my manuscript, I'm not gonna read what I wrote. It's not a good word. It's what spelled. And there's a lot of fighting. Lives.
well,
Everyone is dying. Yeah.
what I think the undead dragon was doing was keeping people out of the Godswood.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
it wasn't by coincidence that it dropped down there. It was purposefully keeping everyone out of the Godswood.
I think so too. But I didn't like it. The
No.
dragon, it looked stupid.
Well, it did have half of its jaw ripped off from the battle earlier.
Yeah.
So
You're drunk, go home. You don't know what you're doing.
Wow. I know, but still, I think even though as a dead or undead dragon, he was probably in a lot of pain.
yeah,
At least that's what it seemed
it looked like
to me.
it.
Yeah.
Hedestai says, I never thought she would, unless she knew her brothers and sisters were dead. Yeah, you're the most level-headed of, I think, because no.
No.
But yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I wish I would have thought about that, because it would have saved me from a lot of emotional trauma. That was really unnecessary.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But I mean, the desperation on Jon's face when he's thwarted again and again by that dragon was very well executed.
And also the music now, just listening to the music, I've like the scene so many times because of the music. It's just so beautifully made.
Yeah.
And they kind of shift like through everyone that we love, and now we get confirmation that everyone is still alive that hasn't been confirmed dead already. Like we see Sam is crying, I'm like, oh, it's not dead. You see Brienne still fighting, I'm like, ah, and everyone's fighting, and Jorah is still fighting, and everyone is just so, I don't know, they've just built this up so greatly.
It felt like the desperate last stand, like this all or nothing, everyone could die at any moment, kind of.
But then the Night King enters and everything goes in slow motion.
Yeah.
You see Bran coming back from his warging, and Theon realizes that he is the last man standing.
Yeah.
What do we think of Theon's death?
I think that he could have, instead of charging straight into melee, he could have just thrown the fucking spear instead.
He could have, but then he would just stand there without a spear and he would still be dead. So
I think he knew he was going to die.
he was outnumbered and outgunned.
Yeah. So he just wanted to run in there kicking and screaming, what's dead may never die, but kill the bastard anyway. And I think he wouldn't do anything more cowardly because he is not a coward. So he did the only thing that he could think of at the moment, I think.
And
that's
then,
just...
as Vanessa Ty said earlier, sobbing forever over Theon. You're a good man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was beautiful. It was a good death, an honorable death for Theon.
Yeah, it was.
If you gotta go down, that's the way to do it.
And I also, the way that the Night King looked at Theon, it was like he gave him an extra look, like, you're worthy of this extra glance. Because he seems like a person. He seems like a baddie who would just, if it was a character you are not worthy of anything, he would just like step over him and or let any of his goons kill him. But that he actually took it upon himself to kill Theon himself.
Yeah, that's true. And
kind of made it worth it, I think.
Yeah, I think that he gives him kind of like a little bit of respect.
Yeah. Oh, but I just have that sad piano in my head and the cello and everything. It's just, oh my gosh.
And then poor Theon is alive for just long enough to see the Night King literally step over him.
Yeah. But it was still a good death.
It was still a good death.
Then we see some more fighting, of course, before the Night King actually is there. Yeah. Right in front of Bran. And before we're going to talk about the big thing, we need to talk about the stairs, because there's some intense staring between Bran and the Night King before something. It's like he just looks at Bran and Bran just looks at him, and then you can see like the Night King move. He's like, what's going on? So I'm like thinking they have some sort of telepathic conversation. Not that conversation in that say, but it's like the Night King looks at Bran and he's like, oh yeah, now there's something you're not that I cannot see. And then he just realizes what? And then like that's what I think, at least.
No, I mean, to me, I didn't see that thing going on. Maybe I just didn't notice it, but to me it was more like a you have been a worthy opponent moment. Where they just stare at each other and like, okay, so it's come down to this. We meet at last. And then the Night King, slowly savoring his victory, reaches for his sword. And then, as you said, bam.
I mean, the moment when you see Arya jumping in back there.
Because you see like one of his generals behind the Night King. You see a flick, a bit of his hair just move in the wind. And you're like, ooh. Ooh.
Did any of you expect it, Arya?
No.
Yes. I figured it would be Arya after the conversation with Melisandre. And because no one else was able to get into the Godswood, I figured that if anyone is going to save Bran now, it's Arya, because no one else is anywhere near or capable.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually thinking that, I mean, I realized that Arya had an important role, coming to the Night King when they talked to Melisandre and she mentioned the blue eyes. But in between that scene and the Night King scene, I just totally forgot about Arya at all. Like, because we didn't see anything more of her, so I was like, I forgot her.
Yeah, and they totally did that on purpose to make you forget that she was there, for sure.
I just thought like that. Okay, well, now you gotta hurry, Jon. Come on, get past that fucking dragon already. Come on, just stand in the flame. You're a Targaryen. You can handle flames, right? Just move through the flames.
Yes. And like,
no, he doesn't get through. Okay, now he's reaching for his sword. Okay, we're fucked.
Yeah.
The thing is, I really love, to think about theories and to decipher things as I go. Game of Thrones, I just decided I just want to watch it for what it is. I don't want to think that much because it will make it much more exciting for myself. So I also didn't really think of Arya at all. But I knew, like, when she had the conversation with Melisandre, I knew that Arya would have an part, and that's when I realized, okay, Arya is not going to die. but he's gonna do something epic. But when the moment came, I think I was just so fixated upon the moment with Bran and the Night King, like them having it, and I was just not thinking that Arya would just jump through nothing. I don't know.
No, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't as in the moment as you were while you were watching this, because I was sitting with my hubby and we were like discussing things as we were watching it. So it was like, oh yeah, this could happen or this could happen. Oh, but there's Arya, so that could happen. So I was kind of already in that mind space of like analyzing the episode. So
no, I did not do that. I just turned out everything. Like, I have 2 screens. I shut down the other screen so it wouldn't, I just sent a few messages to Hedessa Tai throughout the episode because I knew she had already watched it. But at the most part, I just my phone down with the screen side down so I wouldn't see if I got any notifications or anything. And I was just like sitting there, my headphones in my own space, being in the moment.
That's nice when you can do that.
Oh,
That's
it was
the
so
best
nice.
way to watch Game of Thrones. Sahara says, Arya sneaked past the dragon, all thanks to Jon. And when he screams at the dragon, he is screaming, go, go, go.
He is?
And that's what she says. It might be. I just thought he was screaming no or something. But
I don't know. I don't remember. I need to watch that.
Yeah, we need to rewatch it. Sahara says because he sees Arya and knows that she will be able to get to the Night King. That is an interesting theory, that maybe he was acting as a decoy all along.
I think so. I think so. That's so cool. I really like that. Yeah.
Well,
I need to watch that scene again now.
Yeah.
I was just too caught up in the moment to look for signs like but it's the only thing that makes sense. Like every other character, because last episode we talked a lot about, the Azor Ahai prophecy. But we didn't talk about Arya. We only talked about the typical knight, the typical warrior.
I think we mentioned Arya, that even Arya could be the Azor Ahai, but we didn't go into detail. No.
Yes, that's the thing. But like in the last episode, the only person they didn't, pull a lot of light on in the episode was Arya. But we did talk about it could possibly be Arya amongst ourselves. That we did. Yeah. But I think it was so nice because she's the only one that actually could do it. She's the only assassin. She's the only one with like that set of skills. Yeah. Everyone else is warriors.
Because we've seen time and time again that frontal attacks when the Night King can see you coming do not work. You can't kill him that way. And it was just like that brilliant moment when he catches her by the neck and she drops the knife and you just go, no, 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 no. Yes!
Oh, I knew that she was going to do the Brienne move because she's already done that before. Yeah. So when you see the moment that he holds her by the neck and holds the knife and she drops it, I was like, yeah!
It was so good.
Oh,
and then he just the immediate effect of that knife wound was just, it was amazing. It was visual porn. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
It was so good.
And not only that, the dagger she uses have been on quite a journey.
Yeah.
So. Oh yeah. I think it's interesting that it's the dagger that was supposed to kill Bran in the first season ends up saving him.
Mm-hmm.
That is what you call poetic justice.
It is, but it's also like, why was this dagger that killed the Night King? What we talked about the last time we did, not like this season, but when we did Game of Spoilers season 7, we did talk about Sam finding the note in the citadel, and on that note you see a drawing of the cat's paw dagger. Yeah. So does Sam have more information about this dagger that makes it even more special?
No,
I don't know.
We don't know. I mean, the only thing we know about it is that the Lannisters used to own it. It is Valyrian steel, and before that it was probably owned by a Targaryen.
Yes,
probably.
That's what you know.
Yeah. So,
but there's a lot of interesting theories about the White Walkers, and that dagger might have been, forged down from one of the the sword ice, no, the sword Lifebringer or whatever, Lightbringer that was used to kill or take back the White Walkers before that. But there's there's so many interesting theories, and I'm so interested to see what's going to have to happen next. I'm not going to move into that conspiracy theory land because it's way out there, but there's some interesting things about why the Starks are in the north and why it had to be a Stark killing the Night King.
Hedesatai says Arya was amazing. Like, I was literally screaming at my TV, but I still found the Night King's death immensely anticlimactic. After 8 seasons of build-up, that was it. I don't know. I just thought it would be more. I agree. It was very quiet when he actually went out. But I'm so happy it was Arya that got to do that.
But also,
I don't think it was really anticlimactic at all, because the whole episode just shows how difficult it would be
to kill him.
Yeah, that's true. Not only because he can take most blows easily, but he has this giant fucking army that never ends, because everyone who dies joins his army, and he has super powerful magic that can, thwart any other magic, apparently. And so, I mean, I think the thing that it took so much effort to end him, I think it was good.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's a very good point. Like, as you said, the whole episode is just a build-up showing you how fucking dangerous this guy is and how hard he is to kill in a straight-up confrontation. And all you needed was a small blade at the right time from someone invisible. So it's very good storytelling. I appreciate that. But
yeah. Go on.
Hedesatai says also that although I do find it hilarious that Cersei apparently is a bigger threat than the Night King.
But George R. Martin has said himself that the baddie at the end would not be the stereotypical baddie. I think this is kind of a typical commentary of how the real world works. We all know what the real threat is. Let's say, for example, climate change.
Yeah.
We all know what the real threat is, but everyone is not coming together to take it down. It's always a power play of who, like, nobody wants to lose their power over saving the world.
Yeah.
And it's just a commentary on how the real world actually is.
The question is now,
however sad it is,
since the Night King is dead, will winter still prevail? Will it last for years and years like it's done in the past? Or will it revert back to summertime again? Or, like, what is going to happen? And because Winterfell is broken and burnt to the ground, whoever remains of the Army of the North, not a lot of people, will have to move somewhere else, probably southwards. And how are they going to kill or defeat Cersei and get the Iron Throne? The only army standing left is the Ironborn. So I'm guessing the Army of the North have to go to the Iron Islands next.
Maybe.
To
We're going to talk a little bit about what we think is going to happen later. Because I think they have a sea of possibilities.
Yeah.
We have already talked about Jorah dying. That's fine. We're done with that. Okay. But then we just have to talk about the Melisandre death, and then we can take the bigger questions at the end. I think it was all right. I think there's still a lot of questions that should be answered, and I think Davos, I don't know, like the story of Davos, because we have just seen him observing things throughout this episode. Just Davos.
Maybe he'll become a chronicler. Maybe he'll write like the chronicle of the Song of Ice and Fire. Who knows?
Maybe.
No, but I kind of like, I didn't understand Melisandre's death. Like, did she just feel like her purpose had been served and like she was done? She's like, okay, I'm out. That's what it felt like. But
Yeah.
I was kind of like, oh, that was kind of sad.
Yeah, I wasn't sad about it, but I was thinking that, what a waste. I mean, she came back, she helped them quite a bit, just to stem the tide a little bit and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, you prophesied your own death before the dawn, okay, dawn is coming, okay, I'll just go and die because I said so.
Yeah.
Like, okay, fine.
Maybe she just felt like her time was up, or maybe the Lord of Light told her time was up. Who knows?
I think so. I think she have served her purpose, and she doesn't live for herself.
No.
She lives for her religion and her Lord of Light.
Yeah.
Okay, but now let's just move on to the bigger questions. What did Bran do all this episode? What are our feelings about Bran? Because I know that, Tonya, you have some feelings about Bran. Is there anything you want to talk about there?
Well, I think that Bran was totally useless in this episode. I mean, he was going to act as a decoy. Fine. I get that. But he just, the only thing he did was, spout some few, words that kind of, encouraged Theon, and then he just rolls his eyes, goes away for God who knows how long, and just like fly around with crows up into the Night King's face, and like, ooh, good job, really, yay, Bran, fucking idiot. Why can't you just do some fucking good magic stuff?
No, but that's the thing. That's not how Bran's magic works. Like, I get that you're kind of disappointment that this was all we got from Bran, but he doesn't have any magic beyond the fact that he can warg, and he is the only person in history ever to be able to warg a person, and even that was only in the past, a young, not very smart person. So he can't, if he were to, warg a dragon, for example, that would probably be too much, because dragons are as smart or smarter than people. That's what they say.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but that only leads to another question for my part, is that, why the fuck is the Night King interested in this fucktard if he's not that, big of a threat
that's the thing.
Anyway?
Bran has never been powerful in, traditional power, like extrovert power. The thing with Bran is that, and they talked a little bit about it in the last episode, is that he sees and remembers everything that has ever happened to mankind since the beginning of time, basically, and he can travel back and forth in time and see all of the things that have happened. And what the Night King wants more than anything else is to destroy everything, the memory of everything, of humanity, because that was his purpose, because the Children of the Forest wanted to get rid of the humans because they were killing them off and taking over their territory. So the Night King's purpose is to just destroy mankind, and the quickest way to do that is to destroy the one person who recollects everything, who knows everything, and who can see both the past and the future. So that's why he wants Bran. Not because Bran is super powerful, but because he's like a symbol of humanity. And Bran can see what the Night King is up to.
And Bran is the only one who knows how to actually... So...
Yeah. So that's why. Not because Bran is all-powerful or anything.
Like Sahara says, didn't Bran try to lure the Night King to come at him? Yeah, that's what he tried to. At least that's what we think he tried to.
Yeah.
I think that I just think that the brand on Bran, or the thing that the Night King was drawn to. Oh, that's at least what Bran told the other.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get some explaining done later. I think we're gonna have a episode bring this in. Maybe the next one, I don't know, or maybe the last one even. Where we kind of get to know more about Bran. At least that's what I hope. We know, in fact, we know that the next big fight is gonna be episode 5. Because the same director that directed this episode is gonna also direct episode 5, and he is the one who does the big battles for Game of Thrones. And they've also said it, so.
Yeah. So we have one more episode, which will be like an in-between, probably a lot of like explanations and storytelling, and then the big battle.
I think it's going to be a little bit of battle as well, because they wanted the same director to direct this one episode. Like, they wanted episode 3, 4, 5, and 6, and he was like, no, I cannot do all those 4. So I suspect it will be a little bit of battle in all the next episodes, but the big one is going to be episode 5.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to go back and become summer and spring again, because one of the later episodes is going to be named something about spring. I don't remember what it was, but it's blah, blah, blah of spring or something like that. So I think it's going to return to how it was.
Okay.
But then my next question is, what do we think that the Night King wanted?
I think we have already kind of talked about it.
He wants to put the whole entire world into darkness and eternal winter. He wants mankind to be destroyed.
But I don't think the Night King is necessarily the bad guy. And nature's way of ridding itself of
well, I mean, he's a symbol of it, but he was created by the children of the forest through a magical ritual, so they made him to kill humans. That's...
Yes, he did, but the reason he attacked now...
Yeah.
Why is the reason he attacks now? And I think it is because... I think his main goal is to take down everything that's happened in King's Landing and the rotten... play of the throne, because everyone is just backstabbing everyone and everyone is just making it a hard time for everyone. There aren't really anyone who's good or bad anymore. Everyone is just has, gray zones of everything. So I think the Night King is just nature's way of setting everything at a 0 again and start over. So I don't necessarily think that he was the bad guy.
Maybe.
And I'm starting to think more and more that's...
I think that he just, was fulfilling his purpose that the children of the forest aid him to do, actually, and that just he attacked now because, hey, I got a dragon, now I can get through the giant wall, because he used dragon to destroy the wall, and I think that's what he basically, the only thing he lacked to be able to go beyond the wall.
Maybe. It's at least a big hindrance for him, but I think the reason he started to rallying up in the first place is because he wanted to rid of the wheel, which Dany is telling that she wants to get rid of. I don't think she would. I think the next question is who is accounted for and who is not accounted for. And we know that Ghost is alive. We know Brienne. We know that Gendry and Grey Worm, Dany, Jon, Sansa, Arya, the Hound, Tyrion, Jaime. The only people like Varys, he is accounted for. Tormund, thank God, and Davos. So I think a lot of our favorites are still accounted for. I don't know what happened to Alice Stark, but I didn't really look for her, so
Nah, me neither.
Yeah, I think the only one that I can think of that's not accounted for is Jon's dragon.
Yeah, he is accounted for, because you see him in the next teaser.
Trailer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I haven't seen that, so it wasn't accounted for me.
No, but it's confirmed that it's okay. Is there anything we liked in this episode? What was our favorite moment?
Arya killing the knight.
Yeah, hands down. Well,
Yeah.
Arya meeting Melisandre in the room, and the whole God of Death comment, and then her killing. Those two are my favorites.
Yeah, I just like that whole sequence, really. The last sequence with that song, like, it's ongoing. It was so good. So good.
Yeah, I was kind of like, in basically entire episode, I kind of shut out all feelings. I mean, every death, every bad thing that happened, I was like, just, yeah, they're gonna die. Yeah, they're gonna die. Yeah,
Same.
they're gonna die. Yeah, they're gonna die. Good job, you're gonna die. And of course, when Arya came and killed the Night King, I was like, oh yeah!
Hedesatai says, I predict that Tormund will die of severe sunburn once he goes south. I agree.
He will get sunburned for sure.
Yeah. Do we think that Arya was a Azor Ahai reborn?
Potentially. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. That's the feeling I have too. It's possible, but I'm not convinced.
No,
because I'm not convinced of everything. I think Game of Thrones is trying to fool us with everything all the time.
Yeah, no,
so I'm like,
she could be a Azor Ahai, she could not be. I mean, this is. It is very Prince that was promised she killed the Night King and set them free, but there might still be things in the prophecy that haven't been resolved yet, so it's hard to tell. It really is hard to tell.
It is. What about Daenerys' betrayals? Do we think the betrayal could be the dragon betraying her at the battlefield? Or is it something else?
I think it's something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's something else either, but I haven't really thought about the Dany betrayals. I'm like, care.
Oh well. What do we think will happen next? What's the next episode gonna be?
I think what will happen next is, well, you kind of spoiled a little bit with the teaser, but what I would think is that they will, prepare for the next battle with against Cersei.
Yeah, that's possible. I'm pretty sure they're gonna do that. I think they might regroup at the Iron Islands, or maybe Yara will come sailing up to fetch them at some point. One of those two options. But they're going to have to find a safe place where they can regroup or rebuild Winterfell, but I doubt that that's on their minds right now, because Dany will be wanting that throne.
Maybe Sansa will stay behind and rebuilding Winterfell.
Yeah,
I'm thinking that's a possibility at least.
And he, the friend of Jaime, he who got attacked.
Bronn.
I think we'll see him next time.
Yeah, I think so.
That's a possibility too.
Hedesatai says that she thinks that Tyrion might betray Dany. That's very possible.
Oh yeah. Ooh, I got chills. I think so too. But I think it's not because he wants to. I think it's because it's gonna be more and more clear how crazy Dany is.
Yeah.
Because I think she's gonna be just as bad as Cersei in the end.
She might. She totally might. I don't think Arya will be on the Iron Throne because I don't think Arya wants to rule. That's a prediction I'm gonna make.
I don't think so too. Sahara Cosplay say, I hope Jaime kills Cersei, not Arya. But there's been a lot of speculation of Arya killing Cersei with Jaime's face.
That could... Ooh.
What? How?
Because she can swap faces.
Yeah. If Jaime is dead, if Bronn kills him, for example, she could take Jaime's face and get close enough to Cersei to kill her. So that's possible.
Yeah, because isn't that like a prophecy or something that she will be killed by one of her brothers?
The little one. The prophecy is said. So she's always thought Tyrion is going to kill her. Last season I speculated it might be the baby because it was only, prophesied it to be the little one, which she has always thought was her little brother Tyrion.
I mean, but Tyrion could die and Arya could grab his face.
Oh yeah,
or it could
but also
be
Jaime is also technically her little brother.
Yeah, I guess.
And because she was born first, and Jaime was born after her.
And also Arya is quite small.
Yeah,
she is. And also, it was prophesied that she would only give 3 children, no more, and then she would be killed by the little one. So that's why I thought like maybe the baby would kill her.
It could be that the baby kills her, for sure. It's just that
But she did drink wine the last episode, and the episode with Tyrion she didn't. So is she still pregnant, or is she not? Trying to hide it for Euron so everyone would think it's baby, or... Because if you think of it, time-wise, it would be showing by now.
Yeah, that's true. No, it's a tough one to call, to be honest. But I don't know. In the end, I'm hoping that Sansa is the one sitting on the throne. I
don't know.
That's what I want, because that's also what she wants. Because if you recall back to, like, earlier seasons, Sansa said that she wants to be a queen.
Yeah, she wants to be a queen.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I am team. Like, yeah, of all the people I want to see at the end, honestly, I kind of think it might be Cersei. I think that everyone die and she's gonna be the one left. Either her or Sansa. That's the two
could happen.
Main people that I'm thinking.
Or maybe
now.
Jon will be the king of Westeros because he is Aegon Targaryen.
Oh, Bobo, yeah.
He might still be the prince that was promised, for all we know.
Maybe. But also, I think the next episode is gonna be a long one. I'm not sure. That's just what I've heard, that it's gonna be just as long as this one. I'm not sure if I believe that or not. But I've also heard that the last episode is gonna be the longest episode that's ever made this far. So all I can say is that I'm very excited of where this is gonna go, and I'm just open to every theory and everything. Like, I don't want to set my mind one track. I like that I have like 1,000 things that can happen, and I would be just as excited, I think.
Yeah. I mean, whatever happens, I'm here for it. I'm just excited about it in general.
Same.
So, yeah. Basically, our predictions aren't worth a damn, but we might be right.
Yeah, because we talk of them all. Yeah, I think I don't have any more questions, and I think like all in all, I really enjoyed this episode.
Yeah.
Personally, I think they didn't kill off enough major characters because they still have like the biggest ones left.
Yeah.
And I kind of think it's a little bit,
more people are gonna die. For sure.
Yeah. For sure. But I'm gonna go and look for that go scene with Jon and the dragon. One more thing. I think, like, costumes. I don't think there has been a lot of, fancy costumes in this episode. Nothing that is like, I want to cosplay this just yet. But if you have seen the teaser, there's gonna be a lot more fancy things. So, and I think cosplayers are going to go.
I saw that there's a book coming out that is the costumes of Game of Thrones. That is a book I want / need in my life.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll finally get the motivation I need to make a Game of Thrones cosplay, because I've been wanting to do it for ages, but I just can't decide. I can't choose one that I really want to do and just do it.
So, Hidestai says, there is a theory that the makes some sense because of character development, but I don't know if really that well. You have the same theory about Sam, you have the same theory about Davos now as well, so we'll just have to wait.
Charlie's Dragon says, that's the first. Not enough people dying in Game of Thrones.
No, but I think they kind of saved the like, all the deaths we had in this episode are NPCs, important NPCs, but they're still kind of NPCs, if that makes sense.
I get what you mean. Like, none of the major characters died, and I was expecting a major character to die, to be honest. So I'm relieved / disappointed.
But it's kind of like, I think it's nice that they didn't of them about not killing anyone. And honestly, I thought the Night King was going to die in this episode. That was one of the things that I actually thought would happen. Also,
Sahara says, Cersei has a red dress. She's not wearing black anymore. That's an important thing.
And also, some people have been saying that Daenerys is in a red dress as well. Didn't really notice that in the teaser. Interesting if Daenerys and Cersei suddenly starting to wear the same color.
Yeah. Mad Queens.
Hmm.
Right. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see, for sure.
It will.
So, next episode of Game of Spoilers will be on Thursday next week. That is on the 9th of May.
Yep.
Probably a little bit later in the evening, seeing as it is a regular work day and not a red day.
Yeah, it will be at 7 or 7 at 6, so I think it's safe to say that the best.
Your audio
time.
kind of cut out, so I didn't hear anything of that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I said it probably is 7 or 7 evening.
Yeah, 7 or 7:30.
Most likely 7:30.
Yeah.
Next Thursday.
Yeah.
Tonight.
So be prepared for that. We're going to talk about episode 4.
Yes, and if you have a lot of theories and things you want to talk about, if there's anything special you want to mention, feel free to say it in the chat or come and join us this talk.
Yes, if you want to be a guest and talk about something special that triggered you in the next episode or a theory that you have, you are welcome to join us. Just send us a message in advance so we can prepare for that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. All right. This has been fun. We'll see you next week. And don't get killed in the meantime.
Don't. Thank you guys for commenting and watching and Game of. We love the hype.
All right. Bye.
Goodbye. Good night.